You're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely hear you loud and clear.
Cool.
All right, Greg, you've got so many different body scanners out there. And at Functionised, we decided to invest in the Fit 3D. We've just felt that the laser scans were far superior to a lot of the other products out there. What is it that you decided to utilize and to develop the Fit 3D to make it so effective? I mean, where did it actually come from?
Yeah, it's if you'll indulge me, I'll kind of give you a background story here. But so part of my background is heavy in physics, data science, and computer vision. And so I was part of the inventing teams for all of the technology associated with like Major League Baseball pitch tracking, hit ball tracking, and player tracking. And so we use cameras and all sorts of computer vision stuff. And as you know, I was sort of evolving out of that role. I was met with sort of a family challenge where my mom was going through a weight loss program, and she struggled with weight for a big majority of her life. And this time it was really working, right? So her body was literally shrinking; it was fitting inside of itself. And so while her weight wasn't going down all that much, you can tell that she was doing the appropriate type of, lean muscle training, HIIT training along with cardio, as well as nutrition. And so the composition of her body was substantially improving. And so I go home every few months and I'd see her, and I was so proud of her, right? And then all of a sudden, she plateaued on her weight, and it started to just kind of stay the same. And so 10 months into this program, she's chasing my kids all around. She's just amazing. And then she's like, no, it's not working anymore. My weight stopped going down. And, this is such a common story. And so, we were looking at ways to help this problem, right? To help my mom, essentially. So we were looking at the different technology out there, whether it be bioimpedance or weight scales or, fat calipers or measuring tapes or whatever it would be. And we came across body scanning as a potential way to help consumers track their body shape changes. And it really kind of struck a nerve with us. And so we said, okay, we want to own this market, right? We think it's a big market. We think it's really good. We think it's going to touch a lot of people's lives. And we think it's going to really help in the fitness and wellness space for retention purposes. And so from that capacity, we set out, back in 2011 to build, the most accurate, easy to deploy, easy to support, easy to use, informative body scanner that we could. And those are really kind of the 5 guiding features that we were looking to create. And so after several years of R&D, we created the Fit 3D Pro Scanner. And the whole point of it was to make sure that we can touch all of those 5 pillars very effectively and provide a service to the world. So every piece of the development process that we went through was for that in particular.
Now, not getting into other brands per se, but why do you believe that the Fit 3D is superior to, say, an expensive bioelectrical impedance brand, for instance?
Yeah, we at Fit 3D will very, I'll say never. We'll never talk down about another type of technology or even brand. But at the same time, there's a lot of assessment solutions out there that are unidimensional. And so, bioelectric impedance, air plesiosophy, when we're looking at volumes or dunk tanks or whatever else, right? Really cool, but it's body composition. It is one piece of the puzzle. And at the end of the day, for the member or for the consumer, it's a number. And so what we found is that when we look at their bodies as not just a number, but something that they can relate to, and you're basically tracking your visual entity in 3D, and then you're tracking measurements, and then you're tracking posture, and then you're tracking composition, and you're putting all of this together in sort of a one-stop assessment shop, man, that's compelling. We've seen people look at their scans and their progress over time and cry. I mean, they're just like, they didn't care about the number. They didn't care about how much weight they lost or their body comp or whatever else. They looked at their 3-dimensional scan, compared it to a newer scan after going through hard work, and they're shedding tears because they can physically see the changes in their body. And so we really look at it more fundamentally is it's more than a number, right? Your body's more than just a singular set of number or a set of wellness assessment numbers. Like, it's your body, and being able to view that is so powerful. And so that's one of the big differentiators from other types of technologies in the space.
Now, it's not just your mom that is using it.
Not anymore.
There's other organizations, a lot of research utilizing your technology as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're very, very fortunate to work with some of the leading institutions in the world, all the way from like Harvard through Boston Medical, UCSF, Mount Sinai, LSU, University of Texas. And they're all doing really, really cool things. And I would be remiss if I didn't say UCSF and University of Hawaii, because they were sort of one of our first research partners with John Shepard and his Shape Up studies funded through the NIH. But yeah, all the way from tracking body shape changes over time and understanding like how bodies can change, to looking at edemas, so being able to track appendages and their changes over time through a quick 30-second scan versus what they used to do, which is put a tape measure on your arm every 10 centimeters up and then repeat that 4 or 5 times to make sure that they got volume correct. To even tracking pregnancies and postpartum, body changes and looking at that as pregestational diabetes. Like, there is so much research going on using Fit3D, and a really fun one is John Shepard at the University of Hawaii. He used to be at UCSF. Is doing one on. He just got published for this, which is really cool. But it's basically looking at astronauts and the body composition effects that weightlessness has on the body, and he's using Fit3D to test all of that stuff, which is, it's not going to make a difference in everyone's life because everyone's not an astronaut, but it's pretty cool from an amazing standpoint. Like, it's awesome. Now,
we talked on the phone, it's got to be like a month ago, perhaps. Yeah. Kind of told you about the experiment that we're doing here, now called the Keto Project. And we chose to utilize Fit3D here. In your humble opinion, what changes might you think would be able to be seen if somebody is not changing weight per se, but they retaining a lot of fluids? What types of changes would the scanner actually pick up?
Yeah, I mean, fluid retention is a big, has a lot of effect on dimensionality, right? Like, if you think about what edema is, it's essentially retaining fluid in parts of the body versus other parts, right? And so, if you see people with edema, you see like really big swollen ankles, or big swollen arms or wrists, or even like sides of the body. A lot really depending on salt intake and nutrition. So yeah, I mean, I think that, depending on the subject and or subjects, and their sort of medical conditions going into it, if you get somebody sort of semi-healthy, you're going to pick up like a drop in body composition, or like basically a increase in adipose tissue, an increase in water retention, which is going to show in the shape of the body. So basically how the body is holding its weight. You're going to start to see some sag, essentially, for lack of a better term in there, not so much muscular definition. And then you'll also start to see swelling in different appendages in different areas of the body that are going to collect the fluids that you're going to start to suck in based on, again, nutrition.
And that's so cool to be actually able to see it and visualize it in that very graphic, gross morphological image.
Yeah,
actually seeing the numbers. I mean, it's really cool there.
Yeah, I think there's going to be the visual aspect, which could be both alarming and interesting, and then there's going to be the measurements to back it up, right? You start to see quantitatively how the body's changing. You're like, whoa, okay, that's very real. So it'll pick up all of those changes, frankly, which is pretty cool.
My biggest concern, especially with the project being invested this much into, is accuracy. Now, what have you done to ensure that the Fit3D is as close to accurate as possible?
Yeah, accuracy is a funny word, especially with the amorphous body, right? I blow up my belly. My belly's bigger. Is it more accurate or less accurate? Like, I don't know. But no, I mean, I use that sort of in jest, but it is true, right? Bodies do change, and you can change it instantaneously where you take an air and things like that. But yeah, so our terms of accuracy, so we calibrate every system prior to it leaving our manufacturing facility. And we have mannequins that we put on literally every single scanner, and we know the exact dimensionality of those mannequins. Mm-hmm. And so we take a scan for every single scanner before it leaves. If the mannequins don't hit some very, very tight tolerance, and then the scanner needs to be recalibrated. It goes back to the manufacturing line, goes back to recalibration, gets pushed out in the field. The beautiful part about our system is that, as compared to other body scanners, is like we don't ever have to go through an in-field calibration, because once those calibration numbers are set in the factory, they perpetuate through, and our software takes care of everything else in the backside of it. So we've done a lot of tests. I mean, one of the reasons why we're using so many, research studies is due to our accuracy. And one of the reasons why, we're even used to produce custom clothing is due to the accuracy. And there's a lot of different uses for body scanning, and we are chosen hand over hand over hand every single time because of the accuracy that we produce out of the system for the applications that it's being used for.
And not to get too off topic, but I actually did do that. I wasn't able to pick up a suit or get measured for a suit, I should say. And I scanned myself, emailed it over to the tailor. And when I went to pick it up, it was dead on. So
that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
Yeah. we have a couple custom clothiers using it, which it's funny. That was one of the first use cases for body scanning in general, was being able to pass on measurements for custom clothiers to build clothing for. We found a way to democratize that for fitness and wellness. But that was one of the original sort of use cases back in probably the 80s or 90s when scanning was first a thing.
Some of your figures, lack of a better term here, on there, some of the categories on there have to do with disease. Where did you kind of come up with those in the first place?
Yeah, we didn't, to be honest with you. So we worked very closely with Mount Sinai, UCSF, and LSU, Pennington Biomedical, and some of the other folks that are out there. And the whole purpose of that was for them to tell us, where we could be used. And then they were like, is this interesting? Is this a path that you want to go down? We've always sort of wanted to inform, but not diagnose. Once you get into diagnostics, it's a whole different ballgame, a whole different set of regulations. And for a lot of the gyms out there, it would just substantially increase the cost of the utilization of the system. And so understanding that like our target market was fitness and not necessarily medical, we've always gone right up to that point where we are informing both the administrator, the coach, as well as the user of information around their body, again, without diagnosing them of anything. Even though in research, our system is being used to evaluate diagnostics. So we just haven't felt that was a strategy that we wanted to go down. We didn't want to go that far down the medical path, frankly.
Makes a lot of sense. But even on the chiropractic path in our facility, even just the balance and the symmetry, that helps a lot. And you can see changes. We've actually done some little case studies on ourselves, and there's an instant change. And it's great to be able to quantify it right then and there. So it does work in that cool aspect as well.
It's funny. We launched posture analytics, I want to say it was 2017 or so. But it was interesting because one of the chiros that we worked with, and now we work with some great chiros all over the world, but they're like, it seems like you have all the data to provide posture analysis. Have you thought about that? And we're like, that's an interesting concept. Like we hadn't really. And so we did some research into it, and we understood sort of the balances that we capture in the body. And then one of the hardware changes that we made is instead of just capturing weight, we actually capture weight on a 4-point independent load cell weight scale. And so that allows us to understand the left, the right, the front, and the back balance in the body, which we showcase to the user. So if you're very left loaded or right loaded, that's information that can be used by your coach or your practitioner to help with balance. And then if you have any tilts or kyphosis in the body, that's also tracked and can be viewed through your scan, as well as can be quantitatively assessed. And you can look at those changes over time, which which is really cool. It's sort of an undersold feature of Fit3D. Because so many people focus on measurements and body comp and then the 3D image, but the posture side of it was really cool.
Oh yeah, people just we're vain. Let's face it.
Yeah, we are.
All right, Greg. I certainly appreciate your time. This has been a absolutely huge help, and thanks for making a great product and keeping the updates coming.
Yeah, Jim, a pleasure to work with you, and really excited to see the results of what you're going through here. I think it's, when you were explaining it to me before, the amount of control that you're putting into the research is something that we have not necessarily seen before, and it's really cool. So yeah, so sign us up as soon as you get results, even preliminary. We would love to see them. Really excited for that, and really excited to see this as it all comes out.
1,000%. I will pass along the information for you guys to see, and then keep you in the loop. I mean, this is going to be a couple-year project, realistically, from start to finish, and we're only a few months into it, so we've got as much as I would love to say, it'll be done in 2 weeks. I want it done and then some. We got to make it a quality product, as you've done.
Hey, fine wine takes time, right?
Absolutely.
So, great stuff, man. Awesome. Well, appreciate the opportunity and good luck. Let me know how we can help in any way.
Will do. Thanks, Greg. Have a great night.
Thanks, Jim. You too. Bye-bye.